Good evening and welcome to the overnight session of From Day One. Art Bell is back with some more spooky matter. Originally again from October 31st, 2013, let's return to spooky matter.
See, these things, they do happen. That one from Texas, and I so appreciate it. I think that the dead, let me correct that. It is my firm belief that the recently dead do not depart right away. They're still there for a while. Not a long time, perhaps days, perhaps hours, perhaps days, but I firmly believe that they do stick around. Let's move to Colorado and Francisco. Hello there.
Hi, how you doing, Art?
Very well, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and start off. My story, it starts off, met a good friend in Lutheran high school. I guess, better way to put it, kind of a uptight religious school.
Right.
They would teach us, Bible verses. We'd go to Bible classes. None of that to me. I mean, I was already, born and raised in the church. However, this friend that I met, he really was there for other reasons. And I tried to, talk to him about religion from time to time and kind of blew it off. He was like, well, why don't you come with me over to my house? He's like, this is what my mom and I kind of do on our separate time. So we go over there, and it has a real nice house, a lot of ornate, all collectible type of items. And one of the items that she has in this big open garden room area is a Ouija board. So convinces me, which going against everything that my mom had told me, don't you mess with that stuff because something could attach to you. It could follow you back if it wants to. Just leave it alone. Well, being a teenager, I was like, man, let me try it. So we gave it a shot, and got some interesting responses. And I was like, okay, I've got to try it. That's that. So fast forward now, we're in our late 20s. I'm in school, and I had just left college to move back in with my mom to help her with my grandmother. She was suffering dementia at the time, and my friend called us up. It's about maybe 3:30 in the morning. December, so it's cold, snowing, and I could just hear in the other room, he's just crying hysterically, and I get up, kind of, confused in the daze, asking, what's going on, and she says, he needs our help, we need to go to his house now, grab your things, let's go, and he lived, a few miles away. Mm-hmm. We get to his house, and he's standing outside in the snow with no shoes on, with just an undershirt and a pair of jeans. And immediately gets in the car, starts crying again. I mean, just shaking uncontrollably, probably from being cold and being scared. And as he starts to calm down, we ask him, what's going on? What happened in there? And he said, I came home, hanging out with some friends. He's like, and I smelled this awful smell, almost like sulfur. He's like, I paid no mind to it. I looked around the house. He's like, it's not until I came to my living room that I seen a man sitting on my couch. The man was very, I guess in his terms, he said the man was very good looking, very well kept. My friend had a dog, a big Rottweiler, and his Rottweiler, instead of barking, going crazy, wanting to attack this guy, sat right next to the man. The man kind of just was stroking the dog. He said when he looked at his eyes, that his eyes were gray. There was no pupil, there was no white, that they were just completely grayed over. And I don't know if it was some type of, there was no verbal communication, he said, but the look, and maybe, not in his words, but maybe some type of, the thoughts, he felt his thoughts were being read by this being. He said he just felt like his soul was being taken from him, and that this being knew that I have you right where I want you. When we had got to the house, like I said, he had already, in order for him to have gotten out of the house, I should have explained a little bit better. He had to break the window out of his bedroom. So my mom and I are like, do you have a key to get back in? The sun's starting to come up, like, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And we're all like, we really don't want to go in there, but let's go in there. So we finally make our way to his house, and the house is a wreck. Cupboards are basically torn off hinges. Food and dish plates are scattered all over the kitchen floor. There was even dog vomit in the living room, in multiple areas of the house.
Sounds awful, yeah.
It was, like I said, I was born and raised in the church, and, nowadays, too many people, they want to recognize the good and not also that there is evil out there.
Yes, sir.
This certainly opened my eyes to it, because seeing what I saw and what I sensed, and just the atmosphere was heavy, that I was walking in that house and just knowing that, why would my friend go to extremes to break a window in order to get out of his own home?
Because he was terrified.
Yeah, he truly was.
Absolutely terrified. Did he say anything about how everything got broken?
No, he said once he felt that, as I was explaining, he felt like just a part of him or a part of his soul was just being taken by this entity. And he still, to this day, says it was the devil. But he says once he started feeling that awful feeling, he rushed to the front door. The door knob wouldn't budge. It wouldn't open, nothing. So that's why he decided to break out his bedroom window. It was everyone who I told this story after that, or familiar with my friend, they were shaken. I mean, and just terrified to think like, that is something else. So we had that same day we called some priests over to come and bless the house, and even the priests they had a look to them that maybe there really was something here that we can't explain. And during the prayer, my friend, the one who went through all this, he straight fainted on the floor. So I don't know if it was a possession and he was making that up, let's just say, but whatever happened, something happened.
Well, thank you very much. I don't think anybody makes up breaking out a window of your own house. Not for a second. The rest of it, I don't know, as he said, but if you thought that you were sitting across from death and that death had come for you, you might do the same thing. Zach, somewhere or another on Skype. Hello.
Hi, Art.
Hi. Where are you?
Halloween.
I'm sorry, Zach. Where are you?
Oh, I'm in Oakville, Canada.
Canada. Okay. Very good.
So I've got a story that happened last year. My uncle was staying with us here near my house, and we were talking one night, and he was telling me about all these horrible dreams he was having.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned it the next day to my friend who likes to dabble in the occult. And he suggested to me that we do a banishing ritual, whereby he would summon the negative energies and then banish them from my uncle's life and also anyone that was in my house.
Right.
So I mentioned this to my uncle after I talked to him, and he was down for it. So the next day, my friend comes over, and what he did is he set up 4 candles in the north, east, west, and south corners of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And he went outside. We've got a walkout basement, so he was under my deck doing whatever he had to do for the ritual. Meanwhile, my uncle and I are sitting in a living room, and we were just told by my friend to just sit there in silence and just sort of, I guess, ponder life.
Right.
And not that long after it began, I got paranoid because I couldn't see all the candles. So I was concerned, one of them might catch fire or something. So I walked around the house periodically to check in on them. And I did a round and everything was fine. And I come back to the room, and the candle that was in the south side of the house where we were sitting started making this pinging sound.
What?
It just kept going ping, 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 and it would stop. And my uncle and I looked at each other, and we said, "Did you hear that?" My uncle says, "Oh yeah, I heard that." And a couple minutes later, it goes ping, ping, ping again. And I said, oh boy, what's going on? So I go check on the other candles, everything was fine. I get back, and also within our range of vision is the candle to the east, and the fire jumped from the wick to the case that the candle was sitting in.
Oh.
So I said, oh god. I mean,
Yeah.
I said, I don't care what this ritual, I gotta, blow this out. So I managed to blow up the fire around the rim of the candle case and
Right.
kept the wick going. And again, I think, oh, what's going on now? Is it the rest of them? So I go and I check the candle on the west side of the house, and just as I get in, the fire jumps out of the candle and onto the dryer where it was resting.
Oh my God.
And I blow that out, and as soon as I come back, I'm panicking. My friend comes up the stairs and said, the ritual's over. And I tell him everything that I just told you, and he says, well, to begin the ritual, I have to summon the energies from the east, so that's why the fire might have jumped, and then I banished them to the west, and that's why I jumped again. And I said, well, what about the south? And he said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, it pinged several times, and it did throughout the half hour so you're doing the ritual. And he said, well, I have no idea why it did that.
Oh, that's weird stuff. I guess lucky that everything didn't burn.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is good news in the sense that after he did the banishing ritual, my uncle stopped having all the nightmares.
Well, that is a good thing, but wow, what a story. Thank you very much. Plus, candles pinging, really? California brings Mark. Hello, Mark.
Hey, Roswell, Art, how are you?
Oh, fine, thank you.
Great. Yeah, so I have kind of a crazy story for you. I'm 33 now, and about 10, 12 years ago, in college, and I was about 20, I moved into a house with about 3 other roommates, and it was about 2 blocks from campus, the University of Arizona, and it was built for the Tucson Electric Power Company president. So we move in and everything's fine, but then within a week, a whole bunch of weird things start happening. Literally the electricity would go off and you would have to walk around and go to the breaker outside the house to turn the electricity back on, in the house.
Right.
And we had, over the course of the year that I lived there, we had, like 3 or 4 different electricians come out to check out to see what was wrong with it. And everybody said that it was fine. So there was strange electric stuff that would always happen. One time I was using the regular can opener, and the electric can opener actually started to go off by itself. But one of the really creepy things was that we didn't have cable because we were poor college students, and I knew that my roommates weren't home one day, and I wanted to bring this girl back. So we go back to my place, and when we get there, I say, hey, let's watch a movie. And so I turn on the TV, and there's that staticky, that snow that you have when you don't have cable. And suddenly there's this bang in the other side of the house, and it's like sounds like dishes crashing. And she says, what was that? And I said, I don't know, but I swear there's something really weird with this house. It's haunted. And suddenly from the TV, through the snow, the static on TV, it said, no, there's no ghosts here. And
well, that's not so, well, it is unusual, but I mean, a lot of times voices and things are heard from white noise, and that's what you had on your TV was white noise, so.
Well, it was so creepy. I turned off the TV, and I looked at her, and I said, did you hear that? And she said, yes. And I said, well, what was that? And she said, it said there's no ghost here. And we ran out of the house freaking out. But another thing that actually happened
that my friend, was an EVP answer.
Yeah, so I was filming. We had a party one night, and I was going around filming using night vision in the house. And I go up to my friend Gentry and just ask him, hey, how you doing? And he says, oh, good, whatever. The next day when I'm watching the tape, and we go and all of us are watching the tape the next day of, the party the night before. And suddenly it goes into his room and I say, hey, how you doing? And it was the most demonic sound that was captured on this tape right when he said hi. It was like this, just this horrible, horrific sound. And the weirdest part about that is that it's been years since all that happened. And for some reason, about a month ago, I was driving with my girlfriend and it was 11 o'clock at night. And that story kind of, for some reason, I just remembered it right then. And I asked her if she believed in ghosts, and I told her the story and that I had recorded this EVP with my friend Gentry. And I thought to myself, man, I need to call him. I haven't talked to him in a few months. I hope everything's okay. And the next day I got a phone call that Gentry was in a coma. And unfortunately, about 3 days later, he passed away. But the odd thing about that was I just remember that story like randomly, and I asked my friend Emily when did he slip into the coma, and she said it was around 11 o'clock on that Saturday night, which was literally, I think it was like 11:15 that I was telling my girlfriend that story. So I don't know if there was some sort of like reach out or connection or something, but it's something that really kind of like touched me and freaked me out a little bit.
Oh, I hear you. Maybe you should go into the field of EVP investigation.
I'd rather not. Rather leave that be.
All right. Thank you very, very much for the call. That's pretty weird. That's a completely uninvited EVP, a television just playing white noise in the background. It is the ideal medium for EVP. You know that? The ideal medium. All right. Let's go to Texas and Roland. Hi.
Hello, Mr. Bell. Is that you?
It is.
Well, I recognize your voice. Nice talking to you. Pleasure's mine. Thanks, sir.
You bet.
I have an experience. It's not a story. This happened to me, so it's very, very disturbing and unsettling. But it happened in one of my dreams that came to me, and I was asleep. And at the time, I was living and working in Phoenix about 10 years ago or so. And in my dream, I woke up, and I was in a unknown city to me anyways, because it was kind of like New York or Chicago style, a lot of people downtown, going to work, all dressed up in suits. And,
you're saying you, in essence, woke up in a strange city?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
And in my dream, I'm climbing the stairs to go up to like a high-rise building, and I'm not exactly how high it was, but it had been at least 20, 30, 40 stories.
Right.
And you know how people are in big cities like that, they go by you and not pay attention. So I'm really not sure what I'm doing there, but I know I have to walk up, and I head towards the elevators for whatever reason. That's where I'm being pulled toward.
Okay.
So I get to the elevator, and as one of them, there's a bank of elevators, and those big buildings, you have 3 or 4 on one side and 3 or 4 on the other side. So it must have been a good, half a dozen elevators. So I'm standing in front of one, and the doors open up, and a bunch of people rush in and fill in, and carrying briefcases and purses and stuff, and I decided it was too crowded for me, so I figured I'll catch the next one. I wasn't in any particular hurry. So I wait for the next one. And that one opens up, and the doors open up, and there's no one coming out, and there's really not a crowd any longer. I'm really the only one going to get in. So the doors open up. I notice, I guess, what you call an elevator operator. And he's standing in the corner there, and he's dressed very sharply, nice vest, and very trimmed up, and, very professional looking.
Yes.
But he had this sense or an aura about him that wasn't natural. So before I actually stepped in, the doors were wide open. He's standing there with his kind of holding his hands and looking at me and smiling, and I picked up right away, who he was, and I got the feeling that he was Satan himself. And
now this is all in a dream, right?
Yes, sir. It's all a dream.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so as opposed to an actual ghost encounter, this is a dream, or did it manifest in real life?
No, it's been manifested in real life, but this is how it started. So this is the reason I say that when the doors opened up and I had this sort of a fear of actually stepping into it. So I stood there still on the outside of the elevator, doors open, and he kind of just asked me, are you getting in or not?
Right.
And I go, well, am I going up or am I going down? You know, asking him if basically if I was going to heaven or going to
In
hell.
other words, you're in a dream. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. So, you know, but I had the feeling that it was not a good choice to get in right away. So I was basically asking him if I was going up towards heaven or down towards hell. You know, I had the feeling that maybe I had died in my sleep. And
I'd say up, please.
so then he just looked at me and goes, well, there's not a whole lot of difference for you. So, and then that's kind of when I woke up. I woke up wide awake and I was sweating, and, you know, and it's been a question for me ever since. I don't know what it means, but...
All right. Well, what it means is probably, since you made no choice at all, it's purgatory for you. I don't know. That's a strange one. But it was a dream. Now, to Anthony on Skype. Hello, Anthony.
Hi, how are you?
Very well. Where are you, Anthony?
I'm in Stillwater, Minnesota, about 15 minutes outside of Minneapolis.
Well, all right. You have a good ghost story, I hope?
You know, I do, but I'll tell you what, my wife had sent in part of the story to the wormhole to you.
Yes.
And what I want to do is, because she can tell us so much better than I can, and it's really a phenomenal story, so if I hinge it to Stella, is her name?
Okay, you're breaking up on me a little bit. You're going to put her on the phone. Is that what you're going to do?
That's right.
All right. Let's have her.
Okay. All right, here's Stella.
Stella.
Hello.
Hey, Stella. Hi there.
Hi. Roswell's.
Roswell's. Thank you.
So our ghost story, we live in a house in historic Stillwater, Minnesota, built in 1860 something.
Mm-hmm.
And we have pretty much had some occurrences since moved in here 2 years ago in April. It started with whistling, like kind of muffled whistling, not wind or pipes or anything. Believe me, I know what those sound like.
Mm-hmm.
It was somebody whistling a tune, and then I would start to hear like old record music playing, and I went outside to see if some kid was sitting outside out front blasting their car stereo, and nobody in sight. It was only from the house. And then things started to escalate more and more. There would be the sounds of like a glass setting down on a table, and there'd be no one home. And I was out front of our home, and there was no one inside, and I heard a knock coming from the inside of the front door.
Yeah.
So I was a little afraid to go back inside the house at that moment.
Yeah, I understand.
Things escalated more and more after that. Knives, like kitchen knives, would fly off of the table in the kitchen, and we have hardwood floors. And yes, and it wouldn't just fall down flat, point down, stabbed into the floor, inches away from my husband several times. He's fortunate that he hopped out of the way quickly.
This is where I begin to think about moving.
Yes, we actually have been talking to real estate agents, friends, anybody looking for another house to live in.
I've seen that in movies where knives slowly pull out of the holder and sometimes head through midair towards somebody. No. That's it.
That's pretty much what was happening. And then I was sitting on our couch, and the TV screen, you know, when a TV's off, you can see the reflection in it still.
Sure.
So I was just kind of staring off into space, and I saw in the reflection walking towards me a full-bodied, it was not even out of the corner of my eye, I could see it correctly, but in the reflection of the TV, a full-bodied, it was a man, it was a figure, and it was walking right towards me. I screamed, jumped up, my husband said, "Oh my gosh, what's wrong?"
Yeah.
And then it disappeared, and that was horrifying.
Yeah, that'd be it. Actually, the knives would have been it, but then, so tell me you did move.
We are still here right now, actually. The spirit here will usually cut off our cell phone conversation, like it'll drop a signal on our cell phones if we ever talk about it. Like the spirit while we're in the house, like if I call my mommy and talk to her about how I'm scared about the ghost. So it will even cut off on our home landline. It'll just drop the call.
Apparently it's decided not to mess around with Skype.
I'm surprised, actually. I told my husband while he was waiting on the line, I hope it doesn't cut us off the Skype.
You made it through. That you're still in the house. I'm amazed.
Well, there's one more thing here I got for you.
Mm-hmm.
I got a strange feeling in our backyard. Our landlord had dug up our old deck. It was all rotting and falling apart, and he put in a new one. And he didn't just dig, post holes for the deck. He kind of dug up the whole front half of the backyard.
Right.
So ground that hadn't been dug up basically since the house was built. I was walking our little tiny teacup chihuahua, Ellie, outside in the backyard. I saw something on the ground in the dirt that had been dug up.
Right.
And it was a human tooth. So I did a little more digging, and I found probably at least 50, 60 human bones in the yard.
Bones? Oh, my God. Now what?
Yes.
They're
recognizably human parts.
At this point, you call the police.
Yes, we're gonna... Yeah, and some very old coins, my husband just reminded me, from early 1900s.
Uh-huh.
It was a little disturbing because...
No, that's not a little disturbing, hon. That's really, really disturbing. And, once I'm digging in my backyard and I start finding bones, that's it. I stop. I call the police. But you found, once again, how many bones, please?
I'd say about 50. There's probably near a full, set of teeth. And several large, I'm gonna assume they're like phalange, finger bones, but they're all, it doesn't look like somebody just, my friends tell me, oh, well, a long time ago, people would just bury their loved ones in their yard if they couldn't afford a funeral. And I said, well, that sounds a little odd to me anyways. But if they're all in, hacked up pieces, which I try to rationalize it, well, I can't really, actually.
Hacked up pieces, not good. None of this is any good. I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't call the police. Maybe you should call a priest.
I know. We actually have a friend of ours. Her family is friends with the Dalai Lama. So he blessed some herbs, some incensey herbs for us to burn in the corners of the house, and we're gonna get on that.
You actually had the Dalai Lama told about this?
Yes, and the Dalai Lama personally blessed and sent us herbs to we were supposed to burn them in, I think, is it every room? Asking my husband. Every room in the house, to get rid of the evil and try to get out whatever's in here, because it's more and more almost every day.
Oh. Why are you still there?
Oh, trust me, we have been looking at every single possibility we can to try to find another house to rent, buy, apartment. There have been times where we've thought about, packing up all our pets. We have a cat and a dog and a turtle and a hamster.
I would have thought of that, and actually done it.
Yeah, I know, just...
Oops. Hello? Oh, my. She got cut off. Oh, Lord. All those bones, all those things happening. I'm Mark Bell.
You could read my mind, love. What a tale my thoughts could tell.
That one sent the shivers.
Just like an old time movie about a ghost promotion.
I'm not over that last story. That thing was way over the top. Way over the top. Ooh. Hacked up human parts in the lawn? No. All the rest of that happening? No, I'd have been so out of there, and then she got cut off. Yikes. Vicky in Michigan, hello. Vicky in Michigan. Are you there? Aw, Vicky's gonna miss her chance. Well, sorry about that, Vicky. We will move on. Let's see where to go. Let's go here to John in California. Hello.
John, hello, here.
Hello.
Oh, Roswell's Art.
Thank you. Who was that?
That was my girlfriend.
Sorry.
Good. I don't know. We've got voices coming out all over the place here. Okay, go right ahead.
Well, good to talk to you again. Experience with Ouija board, that stuff. My parents had a restaurant. I was probably about 17 or 18. I think I put that in the email. We talked to this thing, apparently. And one night, it got nasty.
The thing got nasty.
Yeah, it claimed it was a female, and it said it was from hell. I can't confirm any of this. I don't know if it was real or not, but
in other words, it told you on the Ouija board that it was from hell.
Yes. And we saw this thing many times. And one night, me and two of my friends over there, three bright flashes came out of the mirror, and they were blue, electrically propagated, I guess, out of the mirror. There were lights pulling out the mirror, but they were not pulling out lights. There were three bright flashes out of the mirror, and they were blue. So, we got really scared, and we ran out of there. We drove around for about 2 hours, and I had to come back because we left everything on in the place. We weren't supposed to be where we were at the time. When we came back, the light outside turned on its own. There was no motion sensor on at the time. It was probably 87 or 88.
Mm-hmm.
And we drove off again.
Mm-hmm.
Came back in, turned everything off. Left scared. And pretty much the whole story, but an update, maybe 2 years ago, the staff was freaked out by doors slamming. I can't confirm this, it's just what I heard. But doors slamming over and over and over and over and over. They came out with knives. I moved away from there a long time ago, but I don't know, something happened, and that's pretty much my whole story.
Okay, well, I appreciate it, and again, same house, I presume. These hauntings are real. Now, as you listen to these stories, it's not people out there making them up. These are real occurrences. They really do happen. So ghosts or apparitions or whatever it is you want to call them have to be considered to have substance, not a word you would normally associate with something non-human, right? But substance. I think that's a fair way to put it. Here's somebody that's been waiting. Michael in Virginia. Hello.
Hi, Art. This is in Virginia, right? And this story, we're currently living in Virginia, but the story took place about a haunted home that we purchased in Ohio. And I'm convinced that the house actually picked up because we had spent weeks looking through these little realtor magazines. One evening, my wife said about 2:30 in the morning, she said, I found a place. I said, funny, I found a place. She said, well, where's the spot? We'll look at it in the morning. So that next morning, we had picked the same house. So, and we missed some of the early clues about, this house, like the sage on the mantle when we moved in.
Right.
It started really benign with like whispering and just hearing noises. But a couple of the strangest things that happened was one night we were listening to you and Father Martin Malachi was on.
Oh, yes.
And someone had asked him, is there any danger with even talking about this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And he told you, he said, Art, and I think you asked him the question, he said, Art, he said, even talking about it now can be a problem.
That's right.
And
something you should be thinking about right now.
Well, and what happened, the words no more came out of his mouth when we heard this god-awful racket in a closet.
Uh-huh.
And our cat ran over to the closet. My wife jumped up from her computer, and we opened the door, and it sounded, if I could describe it to you, it sounded like a bird, a large bird, thrashing in the closet.
Oh.
Opened up the closet door, nothing. And
not good.
it was the cat ran out of the room. I mean, that was kind of strange. But probably the oddest thing that happened, my wife was working on her doctorate, and she had gotten up early one morning to go do some research on the computer, and the computer room was just like maybe 5 paces from the bedroom. Well, so as not to disturb me, she closed the bedroom door. And I could hear her typing away on the computer, and it was, and I, sleeping in. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you heard bam, 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 3 loud knocks on the bedroom door. I thought, well, that's odd. She must have locked herself out. I get out of bed, I reach for the door and open it, and my wife is reaching to open it from her side, and she said, "Why are you knocking on the door?" and I mean, it was just, you talk about, gee, why don't you move out of this place?
Yeah, when you move in and you see sage, that's the big tip-off right there.
Or it really should have been. And I just want to tell you one cat story. I know you're a cat fan here. Mm-hmm. We had a cat, little cat Scraps, that we had for 13 years. And we were moving to Virginia, and she was in really, really poor health, and we decided to have her euthanized before we took her to Virginia, or before we moved to Virginia. Well, my wife and I were, and she had this little cage, like a travel cage she used to love to sleep on in the kitchen.
Right.
And my wife and I were in the family room, and all of a sudden we heard this god-awful racket, if you can imagine somebody just bouncing this cage around the kitchen. I jumped up off the couch. The cat's on the cage. The cage is coming off the ground 5 or 6 inches, bouncing straight up and down.
Really not good.
No, it wasn't good. The cat jumped off, and about the same time I hollered at my wife. I said, "Come in here, come in here, come in here. You got to see this." Mm-hmm. And just as she came, and this thing continued to bounce, Art, for probably 10 seconds after the cat got off. And I'm not talking just like shaking. I'm talking straight up, straight down, straight up, straight down.
Yes, sir.
And just as my wife came around the corner, it stopped. So, but this house had just so many little things like that, and probably the very worst. And I didn't tell my wife this until after we moved out of the house. But we had one time we had 3 cats, and we had our pantry down in the basement, and I'm coming up the steps, and I'm not afraid of cats. Things don't bother me because we lived in this place for 13 years. But all of a sudden, I heard this low, guttural kind of growling coming from the corner of the basement, and I thought, wow, that sounds like the cats are really getting to get into one. That's what I'm telling myself. But the hair is standing up on the back of my neck. Well, just as I get to the top of the steps, I look over, and all 3 cats are curled up in the sunlight coming through the kitchen window. There was a cat now in the basement.
So it wasn't the cats at all?
Not at all, Art.
Mm-hmm.
But
well,
anyway,
all I can tell you, sir, is take sage advice and don't live in a place like that. The whole cat thing jumping up and down, bad. The growling in the corner, really bad. Let's go to Skype. You're on the air. Hello, it's Aku, I believe.
Oh, it's me?
It's you, yes. Aku, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Finland.
Finland?
Oh yeah.
Okay, welcome.
Well, I'm glad to be on. Can't believe it. I'm on actually. Kind of a shock.
Well, you actually are, yes.
Yeah, well, oh yeah. Roswell, first of all. I'm a big fan of yours. Been for a long time.
Finnish Roswells. Excellent.
All right, yeah. Well, it's going on to today, so I guess I'm gonna go for your stories too.
Good.
And I hope you understand my bad English, but
so far so good.
Okay, thanks. Well, this is actually a second-hand story, so I don't have a first-hand story to tell you, but second-hand is it's a good one.
All right.
Well, I have a friend who works as a security guard, and there's a mansion nearby, and he has to go around it very often, once in a day or so, go all around all the rooms and so forth.
Yeah, check it, and that's what a security guard does. Yes, you have to go around all the rooms. Mm-hmm.
And he has an electronic clock when he goes when he checks out.
Yes, sir.
And he has to put the right code in there, and so when he puts the right code, there's a kind of goes in the alarm on mode. So if there's someone in the mansion, it of course allows the local police or so forth. So you put the right code in and wait for the right thing on the green light or so forth, and well, the story goes that he puts the right code in, and what you get instead of you get the green light like always, but you get also child laughing. And I know you like childs, especially child ghosts. Anyway, you put the right code in, and you hear a child laughing. So, of course, you disable the alarm system to check if there's really a child in. Well, you go in, it's totally dark, well, you can't see anything, you can't hear anything either, so you go out and put the code on again, and, well, you see the green light going again, seeing that, okay, the alarm system is on again, and you just wait, and you hear the child again laughing. Well, you just, what else there is to do? You just have to put the alarm code on again and check the inside again to see if there is anyone inside. There's no one inside, and what can you do? You just have to go outside again and put the code again, and after that, well, it didn't appear again, but
it was
anyway,
something. So, in other words, it was something. Once it does it again and again and again like that, either you've got a bad alarm system, or you've got something that you probably don't want to know about. All the way from Finland. Okay, let's make another choice. Always hard to choose, but we'll go to New Mexico and Candace. Candace.
Well, happy Halloween, Art and Roswell.
Thank you.
I have a ghost story for you. In the late summer of 2011, a really close friend, Holly, moved to Louisville, Kentucky.
Huh?
So on Halloween weekend, another friend, Debbie, and I went to visit her, and she had lined up a ghost tour. And this is something that you walk around downtown Louisville, and they bring you here and there, and there were 5 or 6 stops on the trip, and
very interesting, but I guess in a tour you don't really expect to see a ghost.
No, and to top it off, up until we arrived at the Brennan House, the main event had been the wind chill index. It was so cold, and we were hanging behind the rest of the tour group. There was another lady that had hip surgery recently, so we were going to hang back with her, and we arrived at the Brennan House. This is a historic mansion, and a family had lived in it for a couple of generations, and they were doctors and lawyers, a very talented family, but beautiful home, everybody crowding around the front, trying to get photographs of the orbs that the guide was telling us we were sure to capture. And we hung back, let everybody take all their photographs, and as people were starting to trek off to the next place, we stepped in and started taking a few photographs, and I was the last one to linger, and I'm standing there taking some shots. I'm not seeing anything. And suddenly, I have both feet firmly planted on the sidewalk. And by the way, this is a reasonably dark street. There's nobody on the street, and Holly and Debbie are walking away, and come on. I'm like, okay. And suddenly I am roughly shoved in my left shoulder, hard enough to knock me off of my feet forward. And I'm thinking, okay, somebody shoved me. I turn around to tell them how rude I think they are, and there's nobody in the street.
Nobody there.
Nobody there. And my first thought was, don't scream, go get the girls. So I quickly walked toward them and I said, you guys come back here. I swear to God, somebody just pushed me, and they're like, there's nobody here. And I'm like, exactly. We dash back, and the three of us are standing in front of this house in the dark, and we're taking photographs, and I just had this feeling that like the hair on the back of your neck stands up.
Yes.
And I felt like somebody was approaching me, and I knew we were the only three there, and I said, Debbie, I'm still taking photographs. Debbie, there's somebody around us. And I said, take some pictures of me. I feel like there's somebody by me.
Yeah,
and so she did. And as a matter of fact, I entered this photograph in the photo contest.
Oh, my.
Yes, it was
Okay, explain to me, since I'm not there right now, what came out in the photograph?
Well, it's hard to explain. I've never seen that kind of light anomalies in a picture, first of all. A lot of white streaking lights. I'm holding still in the photograph, and none of us are real proficient photographers. We just rely on our auto schmato cameras.
Sure.
But particularly just behind me, up at the top of my head, there's a man there. And he has like a pasty face, dark eyes, deep dark eyes, and like an old-timey haircut where he had like a little pompadour thing in the front, maybe.
And you're telling me in real life this man was not there?
No, there was no one but us three ladies on this street.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing you don't ever mistake is getting pushed. I mean, when pushed.
Exactly. I mean, and Debbie's taking these photos, and she's not saying anything. She thinks she's photographing me. And so she turns and takes some more, and we're like, okay, now we're really behind. We got to get going. And I'm just like, okay, this is weird. And so we finish the tour, and we all go back to Holly's house, and hit the sack, and we wake up in the morning, and we're all getting our coffee on, and we're in our jammies in the kitchen, and we have the bar stools pulled up to the counter, and we're looking through our photographs, and I happen to pick up Debbie's camera, and like, what are all these lights in this photograph? And to myself, and I'm looking, I'm like, oh my goodness. This can't be. I mean, you don't even anticipate something like that in a photograph of yourself. And I said, oh my God, Debbie, look at this photograph. And she took the camera from me and just simply shrieked.
Yeah. Absolutely. Listen, I'm with you all the way. You might expect lights, orbs. I don't know. Orbs have been said to be souls, and I don't know about that. Streaks of light, normal in photography, right? But, one, getting shoved by something, not at all normal, and number two, a man appearing in a photograph where there was no man, really, really strange. All right, we'll break here. This is Spooky Matter on Halloween night. I'm Art Bell. That's quite a laugh he's got, isn't it? All right, let's see. Who's been hanging? Colorado's been hanging. Hi, Darren.
Hey, Art. How you doing? Roswell's.
Thank you.
When I was in college, I worked at one of the most haunted radio stations in America. It was the old...
many stations actually are haunted.
Really? Well, I didn't know
yes.
that when I took this job. I was an overnight DJ on a classic rock station. It was K-Sky Radio in Deadwood, South Dakota. And
Deadwood.
The address, believe it or not, dead serious, was 666 Main Street, Deadwood, South Dakota. So we think it was a portal for ghosts because of the strange address in Deadwood, South Dakota, 666 Main Street. But everybody that worked at the radio station knew about a ghost named Doc Smiley. Mm-hmm. He was a dentist from the 1880s to the 1920s in Deadwood, and he had a dentist practice at the location of the radio station in the second floor where the radio station was located. We were located right across from the number 10 saloon where Wild Bill Hickok got shot and killed by Jack McCall, in the 1800s.
Sure.
So there's a lot of history in that town. A lot of people met untimely deaths in Deadwood, South Dakota, and that's why I think there were a lot of ghosts in that town too. And one of them used to hang out at the radio station and do crazy things especially overnight.
Poor overnight guys.
You said they're overnight one night. You remember the old AP teletype machines that used to used to come over?
Of course.
One night we were there, and the dentist office was converted into a newsroom, and through a double pane glass, we looked through the glass and we saw a man standing there in Old West garb. And we thought that was pretty strange. We walked around the corner and nobody was there. So he was gone. And then another time when we were working there, for whatever reason, whenever we played Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love, things seemed to kind of kick up at that radio station. Crazy things would happen. We would have clocks on the wall would turn upside down. The old carts, that we used to play that had the commercials on, we'd find them stacked weird or turned upside down. Just all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of
actually, we used to, for example, if you played a card and you didn't allow it to requeue, you would automatically turn it upside down to remind yourself to cue it.
You're right. Yeah, that's true. So you remember how we used to stack those? Well, they would be all, changed around if you walked out of the room and came back. So it was just crazy things like that used to happen when you worked overnights at that radio station. Through the corner of your eye, dark figures walking down the hall, doorways would creak and slam by themselves. And one night I was working late during a blizzard, and about 3:30 in the morning, I heard a really loud demonic roar come from down the hallway. So I thought it was one of my friends playing a trick on me. So I went running down the hall to see if I could catch him. Went down the stairs, and it was a snowstorm. I looked out the door, and there were no tracks or anything. So I knew that nobody else was at the station other than me. So it kind of freaked me out the rest of the night.
I'm sure. Well, there are so many stories. I don't know why radio stations are the target of hauntings, but they are. It's true. Now, I don't know why any radio station, particularly one in Deadwood, would allow itself to be marked as 666 in their address. Let's go to Skype, and Michael, hello.
Good evening, Art.
Good evening.
My story is kind of an ongoing story.
Okay, Michael, you're kind of you don't have good audio. Can you move a little bit or something?
Yeah. Is that better?
A little. Back away a little more.
Okay, well, I got the phone. Is that better?
Well, not really, so just go ahead and talk in the mic.
Okay. I moved into this house 12 years ago, and every evening between 7 and 9, there's a thump at the door.
Right.
It's like someone hitting it, not knocking. And through the years, I go to the door and look out the peephole, and nothing's there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just kind of blew it off as, it's my ghost. Well, one night I decided, okay, I'm going to go outside and sit out there and see if this is the kids or what. And I went outside and I stayed out till about 9:30. Come back in the house and sit down. I get a thump again. And so I don't know what this is. It's been going on for 12 years. And I called you about 3 weeks ago and told you that my cat sees something flying around the room.
Sure.
And you told me that you don't want to know what it is because if it would get a hold of me, tear me up. That's haunted me ever since.
Scare
the hell out of me.
Keep your eye on your cat, Michael. And thank you very much for the call. Yeah, sure. I have to see these things. There's absolutely no question about it. Anybody with a cat knows. Texas brings Mark. Hello, Mark.
Hi, Mr. Bell. How are you this evening?
I'm great, thank you.
Well, happy Halloween. Well, we only got 25 minutes left here in Texas.
That's enough.
Well, my story is about my twin brother, my identical twin brother with whom I was extremely close. Back in 2003, December of 2003, he took his life.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And obviously it was crushing beyond words for me. And in the weeks and months following his passing, we were close. Even for twins, we were extraordinarily close.
Mm-hmm.
And so from the very beginning, I sort of always felt that I would receive some communication from him. I didn't really have doubt. I had doubt as to how it would happen, and if it happened in a place that would make other people think I might be insane or something like that. But I really thought it would happen, eventually. But as the months went on, and this is, now 3 or 4 months into after his passing, I had not yet received any communication from him, and I just wanted to know he still existed. I did at that point was still in shock. I was pretty fearless. I thought, even if the Catholics are right and they go to the bad place, if they do something like that, then I can figure out a way to get him out of there somehow. I really just wanted to know he still existed. And so I got home one day from work, and this was, again, probably 4 or 5 months at the most after he passed. I was working a very manually intensive job, so I would come home sweaty and grimy. And of course, in Austin, Texas, it's, by April, it's already in the 90s at least.
Sure.
And so would come home, immediately take a shower, get the grime off, and I was in the shower, and all of a sudden a song came into my head, and it was I didn't attach any significance to it at the time. It was a song from Paul's favorite band of all time, called the Smiths. And so I exercised my God-given right as a person living by myself to sing in the shower, which I immediately started to do.
Mm-hmm.
And within 1 or 2 seconds of my starting to sing this song, which I did not think of, the song came to me and sort of asked to be sung in an odd way.
Mm-hmm.
I think...
what happened?
So I started singing it. Well, within... before I got probably the first full line of the song out, I instantly knew my brother was fortunately not in the shower with me. He was right outside the shower curtain. I knew exactly the elevation of where he was. I knew how far away from the shower curtain he was. Everything about him was there. And the feeling was so strong, I had absolutely no need to look beyond the shower curtain to see if there was any wispy smoke or, if there would be wind in my hair. I mean,
should have asked him to hand you a towel.
Yes. Right.
Well, okay, I understand that's very comforting for you, and I don't know how to interpret that, and whether I do interpret that as it goes. I might interpret that as your own mind doing something that provided the comfort that you had been wanting. And I don't mean to diminish your story in any way, but as told, that's kind of how I would interpret it. On Skype comes Lisa. Hello, Lisa.
Hi. I'm first time caller.
Oh, where are you? Lisa, where are you?
I'm good.
No, not how are you. Where are you?
Oh, I'm a truck driver, and I'm currently in North Carolina.
Okay.
So, my husband was in the Navy, and we were stationed in Guam. and he was out at sea, and my little girl was about 2 years old at the time. And we were sitting in the living room having McDonald's for lunch, and she looks over at the staircase, which is off to her left, and I'm off to her right, sitting on the couch. And she's looking at the staircase, and she turns around and she looks at me and she says, "Mom, can I give that man a French fry?" And I said, "Yeah, okay, sure." And she turns back around and looks toward the staircase again, and then she looks back at me and says, "Where'd he go, Mom?" And I said, "I don't know, baby. I never saw the man."
Mm-hmm.
That was just, that's it. That's
Okay, well, that's a good one, I guess. There could have been a man there that you didn't see.
Mm-hmm.
Or...
Yeah, he was only about 2, so...
Okay, well, I appreciate the story. Thank you very much. Again, with that one, I'm not sure what to do with it. There could have been a man there, or there could have been a man there that only she saw.
And with
Not
that...
hard to say, huh? Let's go to New Hampshire.
No,
and
actually,
Mike.
let's not, Art. So we'll have to leave that for tomorrow. Our final section of Spooky Matter. As always, this will also bring us to the end of our broadcast day here on From Day One. Please like, share, and subscribe. Get us to the goal of 50,000 views, 1,000 subscribers, and box you an extra senses those nice red boxes so we can send them off to you. And of course, Google, YouTube puts us on the algorithms so we can try to help you guys out with some nice red boxes. Coinbase, Ibotta, and Gain.gg are all at the bottom. Fill them out. Get your $10 free from the first 2 and your first 100 credits free for free crypto or gift cards, whichever you prefer, from Gain.gg. Anytime, day or night, whether you wish to use them to get items here in Dominion or for anything else your heart desires. And again, we'll be back with you tomorrow for more content. Until then, like, share, and subscribe. Be kind to one another. And release the Kraken as we march along here from Day One. Have a great night. Try to have a great night's sleep. And we'll see you tomorrow.